Welcome to the Truckers Network radio show on tncradio.live, where we offer the news, weather, traffic, sports, information, and entertainment our commercial drivers want to hear. I'm your host, Shelley Johnson. Speaking of entertainment, if you love blues, you'll love the Jim Cummings Band. When it comes to the blues, they play by the numbers with the rhythms, grooves, and riffs audiences love. They perform gigs in Michigan and the nation with butt-kicking music that make you stand up and take notice. Dick Wagner, who worked with Alice Cooper, Lou Reed, and Kiss, called the band some of the finest musicians in the Midwest, with powerhouse vocalist Jim Cummings out in front. When it comes to music, Wagner declared, these guys will rip it up. Band founder and lead bass player and vocalist Jim Cummings is legendary. He's toured with Greg Allman, the Coasters, and Edgar Winter. He also worked with the Beach Boys, the Tubes, Grand Funk, Alice Cooper, and many others. Jim's group members are heavy hitters too. They've toured nationally and played everything from jazz to blues to funk and rock. One member even played with Dick Wagner and Wilson Pickett. The Jim Cummings Band has some great original music, with songs like this one, I Wanna Get Rich.
I wanna get rich, but I don't wanna work. I wanna go on long vacations for an extra perk. I wanna drive my car up the main boulevard. I wanna look up at my mansion from my big front yard. I wanna pontificate, coordinate. Hey, sounds good to me. I wanna get yeah, while I still can move. I wanna die
I Want to Get Rich by the Jim Cummings Band. What a great song. I have Jim Cummings of the Jim Cummings Band with me today. It's great to have you on the show, Jim. Welcome.
It's wonderful to be here, Shelley. Nice to talk to you again. It's been a long
Yeah.
time. We've known each other a long time.
Yes, we have. Oh my goodness. It's been a pleasure working with you in your studio and everything else. But you've got quite the history. You've been you've been playing bass guitar and singing lead since you were 13. That's
Yeah, what's wrong with
incredible.
me? Obviously, there's something wrong with me.
And you play bass and lead vocals for your band, which, by the way, it's got a terrific vibe. I consider your band really one of Michigan's treasures.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Am I supposed to pay you now for that or later on? I'll just get a check out to you tomorrow. Yeah,
Okay.
that's nice. We're having great year. We've had a little bit last couple about 4 years of struggling, but I can elaborate on that. But boy, now we're full tilt, running on all cylinders. Yeah.
Excellent. Since the pandemic is over, those shutdowns hurt musicians all over the country. It was crazy.
It killed everybody. Yeah, everybody was just, and it's sad because a lot of the old one-hit wonders and the group that's all in their 70s now, the Who and all that stuff, and a lot of the other ones had no way to make a living because this band that I have now, well, the Jim Cummings Band, we sell a lot. But let me just give you an example. Last quarter, we sold on all of the download sites, and by the way, we're on all of the download sites. We sold 247,000 downloads plus,
Wow.
some of them there. Well, my check for that, I'm getting ready to sneeze here. My check for that was $410, which tells you that, pardon me, that really the only people that make really good money doing residuals anymore are going to be, the top entertainers, and then they all probably signed not very good contracts. So many of them have to tour to
Yeah,
make money. And when you go out and tour, you can make money
sure.
because you not only make the money from the concert itself, but you can sell your CDs or thumb drives or whatever you want to do in your merchandise and make money that way too. And that's the way a lot of them still make money. But man, some of these guys are getting right up there, man. And you got to feel kind of badly that they're struggling that hard. But fortunately I had my business all these years, and that's been good to me. And
Sure.
so the music is just a bonus. Yeah.
Yeah, other musicians I've talked to have said the same thing. I mean, it's really the music business has changed. It's people can get a start just in their bedroom putting music up there. So
Well,
they
they
get
can, but
exposure.
you got to promo it like anything else. And you,
Sure.
Shelley, you've
Yeah.
spent your life promoting things and you and all that, and it's work.
Oh, yeah, it really is. There's so much noise on the internet, and it makes it a challenge for sure.
Well, it does. This year, this last year, first of all, we've got 8 albums now, and we're working on 9. They're all excellent, by the way, too. It's not like we got 3 crappy ones and and the rest of them are good ones. We work hard on them, but I've done this a long time, so I make sure that it's a nice, solid, top end, top tier type thing. But what I've noticed is here I've got this musical history going back quite a little while, and this year I decided to do some of the booking myself because many of the agents are now wanting 20 and 30%. Well, to me,
Ooh,
that's just nuts.
yeah.
That's just crooked there.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
mean, don't get me wrong, it's not easy to book, but there's so much competition, but that's just terrible. So I tried it myself, and I probably won't next year because it was just so difficult. So the people would ask what I've done, and I said, all right, well, Edgar Winter and Greg Allman and all that stuff. I went down the list. I've had quite a phenomenal musical life and
Oh,
business,
you have.
but doesn't mean a thing. It's just, yeah, that's great. How much? you know, the people that are booking the groups and the concerts and the festivals, some of them are just so wonderful you can't believe it. But the majority really are not particularly pleasant. They blow you off. I understand part of it because they're just inundated by everybody.
Sure. Yeah.
And they have no real good way of finding that how good you are. I mean, they could hire somebody, pay them a lot of money, and they'd be not very good. We played a thing last year called the hippie fest, and well, anyway, there was a couple bands that came through that I saw their promo.
Hmm.
Excellent promo, phenomenal promo. Band themselves were not good at all. So I understand what people, they're cynical, but
Yeah.
boy, it makes it hard. And for every gig I get, I've probably made 40 calls.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's ridiculous.
It really is.
Mostly just like the guy you're going to talk to next week, the fellow from Atlanta Rhythm section. I mean, I've always had agents. I've never not had agents. But this year I tried it without them, and probably next year I'll go back to the agents. But yeah, it's tough out there.
It certainly is. And you've got quite the background. Oh my gosh. You toured as a bassist with Greg Allman, Odyssey, the Coasters, the Drifters, Edgar Winter. You've even worked with the Beach Boys, the Tubes, Dick Wagner, Grand Funk, and Alice Cooper. Wow, there've got to be some stories there. That had to
Well, it's a
be.
lot more than that, but yeah, a lot of that when I was just a kid, and I was on the road at 17 years old, 2 weeks after I graduated from high school. And I grew up on a farm, and I like to tell people that one of the big reasons that I accepted the job to go as bassist with a band called Liquid Sunshine. It was just a bar band, but they were really good, and I was all excited. But one of the main reasons I went is because I grew up on a horse farm, and hay season was just coming up, and man, I hated that. I just hated every minute of it. I baling hay, and so I knew it was coming. So I thought, hey, I got to get out of here now. So, boy, I booked. Wonderful time. I had a wonderful time. I still sleep better in hotel rooms than I do at home.
So, how long did you tour with all these marvelous musicians?
I toured full time until about the time that I met you in '85.
Okay.
So about 15 years full time, and then I stopped to build my business for about 4 or 5 years, and then I was cranky all the time, and I finally realized, I'm cranky because I'm not playing, and that's a musician. That's just part of you. I mean, it's a
Oh,
gift.
sure.
And my attitude is it is a gift, and you need to use that gift, because otherwise you're just wasting it.
Yeah.
So I stopped for about 5 years, started playing in a local jazz band, started building up, and then next thing you know, Jim Cummings band came into existence, and we've been tearing it up for quite some time now. I'll probably still tour another couple years, 2, 3 years probably, and then I'll keep playing probably the rest of my life. And heck, I own a world-class recording studio.
Yes, you do.
Do anything I want, but I think that'll be enough. That's I've had a hell of a life. I've had a wonderful life. But when I tell people I also say that, I've also left a whole lot of bodies on either side of the road, on that way, because that's the problem with any kind of show business. Plus, in the early '90s, I started doing some acting things, and that's turned into something for me. I've been in
Hmm.
a few movies, and I've been in probably 100 corporate videos, and so I like to do that. I found that I'm reasonably good at that. I don't suck at that, and as far as I know,
Oh,
I
I
don't.
think you're great. I've seen some of your stuff. Yeah.
Um, so anyway, that's fun. I want to do some more of that, and yeah, I figure I can always get a job as a crusty old cowboy or something.
There you go.
If the job description, if the part description includes the words crusty, then
Okay.
I'm in.
Yeah, in your youth, you start in touring productions of Jesus Christ Superstar as Jesus, Little Shop of Horrors as the Plant, Miss Saigon as the Pimp. My favorite year is Alan Swan. You've done all kinds of stuff. I mean, you're multi-talented.
Well, I I just take after there are a few members of my family. My grandfather, my mother was a model and an actress in Hollywood in the 40s. She did
Oh,
real
cool.
well, but she came back. Her grandmother died, and she met my father, and she stayed. But she always had a modeling agency and that stuff. So I take after my mother and my grandfather, who was in the studio orchestras at MGM in Hollywood for years. He played vibes, which is a xylophone.
Mm-hmm.
He also had five wives and died in a hotel room, but I just soon not do that. But so I do have a family background at it. I just got lucky. I was putting on ventriloquist shows in sixth grade or
Oh,
in
cool.
second grade when I was 6 years old.
I didn't know you were a ventriloquist.
Well, I didn't either, and I can still kind of do it, but back that was it was you remember Danny O'Day and Farfel and all that stuff. Ness.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Uh, anyway, I had one of those dummies, and I don't know. I've always had a lot of guts. It's funny though, Shelley. I've always had plenty of guts to be on stage and do and show and do whatever it is I do. But always been uncomfortable with groups of people, so I'm uncomfortable with that. But for
Mm-hmm.
some reason, I can get up on stage and tear it up.
And you do. You do a marvelous job. And in your band is just phenomenal. I wanted to give a shout out to all your band members. Who all is in your band? Because you guys have a great synergy.
Well, the drummer is named Jesse Cornwell, and he's well known in Michigan. He lives down by Marion, Ohio. So it's a bit of a trek for rehearsals and things like that. But he's, I've played with big stars, and he's every bit as good or better than any of them. He's just unbelievably talented. Guitar player who just recently rejoined Jim Cummings' band. He was gone for about 6, 7 years. I can tell you a little on that story in a minute. The organ player, the guitar player is great player. The organ player plays only a Hammond B3, and he's one of the best in the world. Chris Moberly, he toured the world with Junior Walker and the All Stars. Plus, he's a really well-known jazz player, and he's just great. Conga player's name is Yeshua, and he toured for 30 years with Dr. John, and he's been all over the world too. So we got Yeshua, Chris, Jim Klein, the guitar player, Jesse, and that old crusty guy that fronts the band.
You guys are great.
Well, great. Well, have you been listening to the music or something?
Absolutely. That's why I said to myself, I need to get Jim on the show. He's got some fantastic music. Yeah, I love to feature entertainers and musicians, and our driver listeners like blues a lot. And you guys do it great.
Well, we do. Frankly, we do headline a lot of blues festivals, but I'm trying to push into and do a few more jazz. We're up for one down in Toledo. I'll see how that goes, but I'd like to do some jazz festivals, and then we do lots of festivals. I mean, it's an original band. It's fun to listen to because everybody's so good and the songs are catchy, and I love to do it. Last year was tough because man, it was hot. I mean, we pretty much only play on these outdoor stages, and it was 95 and 100 degrees every place we went. And
Oof.
now I have a tour bus, which was one of Journey's tour. It was Steve Perry's bus.
Oh, okay.
And it also went out with the Rolling Stones, went out with Crosby, Stills, and Nash. And it's a real comfortable 1980s tour bus. So when I take that, it's not so bad because I can go in where it's air conditioned and relax, and
Sure.
practice and warm up and all that kind of stuff. But if I don't take the bus, then we usually end up in a tent behind the stage, and it's about 100 degrees hotter in the tent than it is outside. So
Oh, yeah.
it was tough last year. I'm hoping this year won't be so bad. We'll find out.
You never know what Mother Nature's going to send our
You
way.
don't. I played in the rain. I played in the snow. I played in the unbelievable hot desert. Yeah, it's tough, but once you get in the groove and you close your eyes and go on automatic, you're in another world. I mean, and that's what I work for. You know, if that's only 20 minutes out of a whole hour and a half, 2 hour set, I'm still happy because that's something I'll miss. When I stop playing out, I'll miss that. I'll miss that. But this band is so good that, you know, when I'm in front, I hear everybody and everything. And then, honestly, Shelley, there's times when I'll just look back and go, whoa, man, what the heck? This is unbelievably good. What in the heck happened here?
It's got to be a rush when everything just comes together.
It is a rush. And you can tell usually afterwards when we tore it up, because people, when you're down there signing or selling albums or whatever it is you're doing, people look at you differently. I mean, it's like this, I can't explain it. It's like they're almost looking through you. And you can tell when you really did well. And I had the same feeling, Shelley, when I toured as Jesus and Superstar. I mean, people believe you are what they're looking at.
Yeah.
Me on stage is considerably different than how I am in real life. But with the theatrical things, you're totally different. You're just playing a role. So I mean, it was a little upsetting because it's like, no, I'm not Jesus. I'm just an actor here.
Right. But if you convince people, you've done your job. I mean, that shows your talent.
And with Alan Swan and that, but think about what I've done. First thing I did was Voice of the Plant. So I was a monster. Then I was Jesus. And then in Miss Saigon, I was a pimp. And then in what's the other one? My Favorite Year, I was a aging has-been drunken movie star. And then the last one I did was Ring of Fire, Johnny Cash. So I'm pretty wide ranging, it's really fun. I mean, how could you think it's not fun? You just get to dress up cool and play somebody else.
It's like make believe. You're still a kid in many ways.
Well, that's what I think about whenever I see all these big famous actors. They're wonderful at their craft, but they're just making believe. They're just play acting.
Sure.
I mean, then they get paid, 20, 30, 40, $50 million to be in a movie. But man, it's just making believe. So if you got that ability, then you're in. We're actually Soundstage is producing a movie called Bone Hill. So everybody watch for it. We're going to be going into production this fall. It's going to star Michael Pare, who was Eddie and Eddie and the Cruisers.
Oh, very cool.
And I'm thinking Virginia Madsen, who's been in a lot of things. Anyway, so it's a kind of a horror, kind of a suspenseful thing. And anyway, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fun. I'm thinking I'll probably be in that one too, but I don't know if I will. I'll be pretty busy. But
Jim, your band and you are so multi-talented. You've got a great vibe and a terrific sound. I know our listeners want to hear more. Let's listen to another one of your top sellers. This song's called Kid Stuff. The Truckers Network helps professional drivers save money and makes their lives easier. We were created for drivers by a commercial driver. We know the industry and driver needs. A Truckers Network membership offers exclusive discounts through our trusted partners on things like truck care, truck parking, tires, oil changes, fuel additives, fitness, roadside assistance, first aid kits, driver training, and a whole lot more. Start saving today. Check us out at app.thetruckersnetwork.net. That's app.thetruckersnetwork.net. The trucking industry keeps America running thanks to the 3.36 million professional truck drivers who deliver everyday goods to 80% of American communities who rely on trucking for that last mile. The industry represents a diverse group with nearly half of drivers at 42% as minorities. Trucking Moves America Forward, or TMAF, educates the public on the essentiality of trucking by telling the story of trucking and its positive impact on our economy, communities, and lives. Learn how you can join the industry movement by visiting truckingmovesamerica.com. Welcome back to the Truckers Network radio show on TNCRadio.live. I'm Shelley Johnson, and I'm speaking with Jim Cummings of the Jim Cummings Band. We're featuring their music and learning a little bit more about Jim. Jim's been doing some pretty interesting things.
So what else can I tell you that's interesting?
Well, I find that movie very interesting. When is that going to be released to the public?
Well, of course, after you shoot it, you have to edit it, and then you have to put the sound effects in the soundtrack, and then replace any vocals that were bad, and if you have to do any reshoots. So it'll next year, I'm thinking certainly by the spring it'll be done, and it'll never be in the red box, I don't think, but it's a B movie, but lower budget, but it's still going to be good. We all know what we're doing, so we'll make it nice. And, it's going to be fun. It's got an excellent script by a guy named Will Radcliffe, who wrote a lot of books. He did 3 or 4 book trilogy called Stones, which was a lot like The Lord of the Rings. He also did a big trilogy for a fantasy book called The Whisper King, which has been optioned in Hollywood. He's written, 8, 9 books. Good friend of mine wrote this. I think it's just going to be great.
Where's it going to be released? Online or
everywhere? It's going to go on the stream, all of the streaming. The other producer's named Phil Wurtzel, and he's done 8 or 10 of these, and so he's got all the distribution and connections with Netflix and Tubi and Hulu and all that. So it'll be on all of those.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And you've got a lot of great music people can listen to, and I want them to purchase it because obviously that's what musicians live on. I like your song, I Want to Get Rich. There's a video out for that. That's fun.
Yeah, but it's funny because when you look on YouTube, there's a lot of likes on it. Mm-hmm. And that's probably sold the most of things we do, but some of my newer stuff is selling well now too. But there are some thumbs down, and when I read the comments from the thumbs down, there's only, like 4 or something, but they took it all wrong. It's like, aren't I cocky, and what a lazy slob I am, and all. That's not how I wrote it at all. I wrote it as, wow, I'm really lucky to have all this work, but now I got to do it, and that's,
sure.
Which I do, of course, but that's what I meant with that. So that's a good song. Yeah, I love that song.
Some people don't have a sense of humor. That's part of the problem. They take things too seriously.
Well, I put that, people like that go directly into my file that says screw them.
There you go. I like it.
Well, I learned early on, and my mother taught me, she says, Jim, you're going to learn this the hard way, but if you find that somebody doesn't care about you, then you don't care about them.
That's right.
Yep. Always care about people and trust them until they show you that you shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way I've always been. I always trust everybody 100% until, or if they show me I shouldn't, and then I never will again. But if they don't care about you, then don't care about them.
I'd say that's a good philosophy.
I guess it is. I guess it is.
So you've got some other songs here. Would You Dance, Don't Go Messin', Kid Stuff, America, In a Life, Happy Town, and Something to Prove. What songs do you like the best? What ones did you want to talk about?
I can go down the list and I just showed you the background on I Want to Get Rich.
Hmm.
What was the other one? Would You Dance?
Would You Dance? Yeah.
That was written, this was early in the formation of this band, so we were playing anything and everywhere we could. We were playing a club in Grand Rapids, Michigan called 38 West or something like that. And we were playing, and the bandstand was right by the door, so people would come in. And of course, all the ladies are all dialed up, and we were looking, and we're going, "Holy cow, man! Every girl that comes in here looks better than the one that just came in before." So that's what I wrote the song about. Was
Okay.
about Would You Dance Some More in Front of Me? And then I don't know why it is, Shelley, but pretty girls just love to go stand in front of the bass player and dance around, So
Lucky you.
yeah, it's tough, dirty life there. But um, that's what that song was written about. And if you listen to the lyrics, it just tells a story. In fact, all the lyrics tell stories. The third one is Don't Go Messin'.
Mhm.
That was written for us by a very dear, very famous friend of mine. His name was Dick Wagner. He was in Michigan with a band called The Frost. Then he had Ursa Major with Billy Joel was in it. And then he wrote all of the hits and ran Alice Cooper's band for many years, 10 years. Then he became a producer. He wrote Only Women Bleed and I Never Cry and a bunch more. Then he became a producer for people like Peter Gabriel and
Wow.
he was big time as you could get. He lived at the Plaza Hotel in New York for a couple of years. He was big time. But he was one of my best friends, and he passed away a couple 3 years ago. And I miss him constantly. But he wrote that song, and it's called "Don't Go Messing with Another Man's Woman," because you'll be messing with his whole life. And let's see, he might defend it. With his life, or he might defend it with yours. So that's one thing I learned on the road. You don't mess with somebody else's woman. And we played for a lot of connected people. When I first went on the road, one of the best places to play were the strip joints in Las Vegas and Indianapolis and Cincinnati and Atlanta, New York City, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
They were all owned by the mob. And I was told early on, number one, you don't mess with somebody who's made, you don't mess with a mob guy, don't mess with his woman, and you don't mess with his money. If you stay clear of those two things, you'll stay safe. So I took that to heart.
Well, I would say that's good advice. Let's listen to the song "Don't Go Messin'" from the Jim Cummings Band.
Don't go messing with another man's woman, 'cause you'll be messing with his whole world. Don't go messing with another man's woman, 'cause you'll be messing with his whole world. He might defend it with his life, or he might just defend it with yours. You know a man works hard all his life to build up his happy home. You know a where it's sweet tulip blooms. You got to suffer the consequences. Sneaking around where it's sweet tulip blooms. Don't you know that it's hard making love 6 foot under in a pine box jug? Yeah! Don't go messing with another man's woman, 'cause you'll be messing with his whole world. Don't go messing with another man's woman, 'cause you'll be messing with his whole world. He might defend it with his life, or he might just defend it with yours. What makes you think that you get by? Wars have been fought for it. What makes you think that you get by? Well, son, it just ain't worth it, and you're way too young to die. That's right. Don't go messing with another man's woman, 'cause you'll be messing with his whole world. Don't go messing with another man's woman, 'cause you'll be messing with his whole world. He might defend it with his life, or he might just defend it with yours. Yeah! Don't go messing with another man's woman, 'cause you'll be messing with his whole world. Don't go messing with another man's woman, 'cause you'll be messing with his whole world. He might just defend it with his life, or he might defend it with yours.
Don't go messin'. Words to live by. Another great song by the Jim Cummings Band. You got so many there, Jim.
What was the next one?
Let me look here. Kid stuff?
Kid Stuff is an instrumental that was written by a dear friend of mine named Brian Brill. And he's written a lot for Anita Baker and, well, Kid Rock, I think, and a lot of us. He's a wonderful, gentle man that he also does a lot of gospel and Christian things. And he wrote that for me, and I rearranged and changed it around so it fit the band better. That has sold a lot. That's been really good. And I love playing that. I love playing things that are difficult. If it's too easy, I get real bored real fast. That's a problem with a lot of the blues songs for a bass player. It's either a shuffle or a slow blues, and after a while, that gets pretty tedious. Fun for the guitar players, and the sax players, and the organ players, but bass player, man, that gets tedious. But
Yeah.
what else? The song "America" is another instrumental. That one is, I just love playing that. It's a challenge. What are some of the other ones?
In a life, happy town, and something to prove.
Yeah, "In a Life" is kind of about my life, and it. I had a hell of a time for a while getting through that without tearing up. Now that's a good one. Happy Town was co-written by Jesse Cornwell, the drummer, and myself. That's more of a jazz type blues,
Hmm.
and that tells a good story. I did all the melody and the arrangement and the lyrics and all that, and sang it. What was the last one again?
Something to prove.
Something to Prove. That I got a couple jazz musicians in the band, and I know a lot of jazz musicians, and I've had a couple organ. Well, my last organ player was a real serious jazz musician. A lot of jazz people consider the music anything other than jazz to be just crap. I mean, it's pointless and useless, and so they're always making rude comments about pop music. And man, I grew up on the Beatles and Paul Revere and the Raiders and
Yeah.
Dave Clark Five and the Who, and I mean, these were phenomenal bands, and there wouldn't be any of these bands now if it weren't for those guys. And to have a jazz full-time jazz guy running down people that I love kind of pissed me off. So I wrote Something to Prove, and that's what it's about. So if you've got something to prove, prove it.
I like it.
And yeah, so most of the songs I write, there's some stupid songs that you could think that I Want to Get Rich is just I like to write a lot of tongue-in-cheek songs, and
Hmm.
that's fun for me. And since I've written so many jingles and theme songs and commercial pieces of music for advertising, I've written songs for McDonald's, Disney, Whirlpool, Amway, Archway, Ford, Kellogg's, General Foods, Post, Toyota, Honda, GM, on and on. In fact, I've been really thinking about writing all that down before I forget it all, which I'm kind of doing.
Oh, it's phenomenal. Everything you've accomplished, Jim.
So I've learned to just value the things that I've done, and utilize lessons I've learned on other things. But my band, man, it's doing good, and I can't believe I'm playing this well, and the more you play, it's like with anything, you get out of it what you put in it.
Sure. Where do people find your band?
Well, it's www.thejimcummingsband.com, and that's one word, thejimcummingsband.com. And we just did a new website, and there's still work to do on it, but we're starting to list our gigs. Got good biographies in it, got places to listen to some of the music. Mostly if you want to buy my music, if you're not at one of our concerts, then I mean, just type it in, because you can buy it anyway. Amazon and iTunes and Spotify and Napster, they don't have all my albums, but they got most of them.
Terrific.
So that's well. And that would help, because that'll help put me through college, So I need
There you go. There you go.
extra money. Yeah.
People need to come to your website, and this will also, listeners can check out your concerts coming up, and they can come see you, which is always phenomenal. I enjoy listening to your band.
Well, I always tell people, okay, I tell the band, I say, okay, now how high on the suck scale were we today? On a 1 to 5, 5 being really sucking, and 1 being not sucking much at all, and a 0 being we didn't suck. So we always check ourselves afterwards. We work hard. I give it all I've got, and I mix it up, because not everything in our concerts is original songs. Probably 3/4 of them are, but we also do songs like Shaft, theme from Shaft.
Sure. Yeah.
We do let's see, Day in the Life by the Beatles, a Jeff Beck version. We do some really fun. We do a song. We do a Jay Giles band song called "First I Look at the Purse." We do plenty of covers too in there. Peter Gunn. We usually open with Peter Gunn.
People love that. Yeah.
Well, the best lyrics that I've ever known are in "First I Look at the Purse." Let me read them to you. I don't care if she waddles like a duck or talks with a lisp. I just think that I'm in good luck if the dollar bills are crisp.
Love it.
I love that, man. That's my
Aw.
favorite lyric ever.
So if people weren't listening closely, where do people find you again?
www.thejimcummingsband. JIMCUMMINGS, The Jim Cummings Band. Also, my company, we've got Bone Hill coming out, which is where Soundstage produces that. Soundstage is a world-class recording studio with 2 video editing soundtrack rooms. And I'm going to start kicking this back into gear a little bit more here this year too. I've kind of let it slow down because frankly, I was just getting burned out. It's ready to go. I'm raring to go. So I'm thinking this summer and this fall, I'll start kicking sound. So if you want to do an album or any advertising, or if you want to just sing karaoke and make a CD and give it to the grandkids, you can do that too.
Terrific.
It is a world-class studio, so it's not a cheap thing, but I keep it reasonable, and it's still fun.
It is a wonderful studio. And where do people find the studio?
Well, that would probably only be on Facebook. I stopped doing a website on the studio at least 20 years ago.
Okay.
I just didn't need to. We've always
Sure.
had way more business than we could handle anyway. Well,
Right.
but it's all good. So yeah, I mean, I appreciate you talking to me.
And I appreciate it too, Jim. It's been great talking to you. Been great catching up. You've been listening to the Truckers Network radio show on tncradio.live. Definitely check out the Jim Cummings Band. And stay tuned for more right here on tncradio.live. Thank you for listening to another great interview on tncradio.live and the Truckers Network radio show. All of the material you hear on tncradio.live on our website, our broadcasts, or our podcasts are copyrighted. There can be no distribution without the express consent of tncradio.live and its partners. For inquiries, write us at info@tncradio.live. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast of the Truckers Network radio show.